Hey, I just got back from lunch. Did you finish that report yet?
Well, not exactly. Still working on it. I'm not finished just yet. I got a little sidetracked, but I will get them to you first thing this afternoon.
It is first thing this afternoon.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but I mean, I am working on
But
it. I'll have.
what do you mean that the report isn't finished yet?
I'm still in the process of working on it. I've just been a little distracted.
Distracted. Our meeting starts in an hour.
I can have it.
No. What were you doing? Were you listening to another hunting podcast again? I swear, I give the staff in this office the freedom to do whatever they want to do as long as they meet a deadline. That is the first bullet underneath your job description. Pays attention to detail and deadlines. And deadlines. With emphasis and Dude, are you even listening to me right now?
Welcome to episode 192 of the Whitetail Distraction Podcast. My name's Austin, and joining me in the podport, Charles Headland. How you doing, buddy?
Sup, dude?
What's up, dude?
Sup, man? It's good to be back.
It is good to be back.
Da-da-da.
Little
New
hiatus.
New year, new us, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking same great podcast, though. Let's go. Sorry. I don't know where that all came from. It was
I kind of liked it.
It was like Thea Vaughn fucking driven as well.
Dude.
Probably not as good.
I was listening to Theo Vaughn on Joe Rogan yesterday. Did you hear about these new gay steaks?
Oh, God, no.
They're like $30 more. Would you buy a steak if it was gay because it was $30 more?
No. I wouldn't spend the money on it.
He would.
Why, is it more tenderized?
I don't
what?
know. They're killing all the gay cows, apparently.
That's fucked up, dude. Oh, I see. Get rid of them.
His take on things. It kills me.
He
Kills me.
I gotta watch his hunt with Michael Waddell. Dude, I've seen clips of it. Fucking hilarious.
Dude, I just heard Waddy talking about it. He was like,
Yeah.
there's Theo Vaughn. He's like, he's wearing sunglasses. It's dark outside. He's like, I can't see the red dot, man. Does it turn green when I'm ready to shoot?
Yeah, exactly. That whole clip. And he's like, well, who's on the other team? What?
What a goofball.
Dude is goofy as shit.
Oh, my gosh.
Anyways, we are here. It's a new year.
It is a new year.
It's almost turkey season.
No, it's not. It's still deer season, guy.
Yeah, but it's almost turkey season.
It is almost turkey season. It's coming up.
See, I'm thinking about it anyways.
You're allowed to.
But we're still deer minded.
Yeah.
I'm going hunting Saturday.
Are you?
Yeah, I would go with my new gun, but did you know I bought a new gun?
I knew you were going to.
I did. I bought a new gun. I was gonna go with that, but I don't have my my sight in yet.
That's okay.
Just got the ammunition in today, which they.
What did you get?
I got a 400 Legend.
Nice.
Mhm.
What kind of sight did you get?
I got a Vortex on sale. Really
Nice.
good deal.
Attaboy.
Yeah, it's four. I went with a 4x12, which might be a little bit much.
4 to 12?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, 4x12. Isn't that what they're called?
No, 4 to 12.
4 to 12.
By your objective.
Isn't it 4x12? Isn't that how it shows up? No? I don't know. Anyways.
It's okay. It's okay.
4 to 12 by 40 millimeter, I think is what it is.
All right.
Does that
All right.
work?
Yeah.
Can I do it that
There
way?
you go.
Okay. Perfect. Now I'm learning.
Beautiful.
It was on sale. It was actually lighter than 3x9, and I liked the reticle better. The 3x9 they had on sale was a great deal.
yeah.
It was like $130 down from like $380.
Nice.
Yeah, really good deal. And I was going to jump on that one. I was like, is that tactical reticle? And I didn't care for it. Plus, it was a little heavier.
Yeah.
And it's a light gun. I want to keep it kind of light. But, you know, it's my daughter's gun.
There you go.
That's my excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
definitely.
Because you're the 450 Bushmaster guy.
Oh, dude. I
And
like
you love
that.
it.
I love that gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, between that and the 350 Legend. But the 350 Legend, you get out like 200 yards and it's pretty fucking slow. Like, it's a slow round.
Mm-hmm.
So they made the 400 Legend and the 360 Buckhammer. And those two were like both on my mind. That 400 Legend, man, the numbers on it were just so good. Like, I really want one. So I convinced Dina to go down to Cabela's with me. And we went down and they had one, the one I wanted. I was between two, and they were just this synthetic stock that was, one was like a slate gray and the other one was like an OD green. And I kind of wanted the OD green. They had the slate gray, so I ended up buying it. I was like, fuck it.
What kind of rifle did you
What? Huh?
what?
It's a Ruger Gen 2.
Nice.
Ruger American Gen 2 with the AR freaking style magazine. It's a nice gun. It's a nice gun, light gun, like a 6-pound gun.
Nice.
Yeah,
which
they
is
are
nice.
pretty light.
You can carry that
Short
bad
ba-
boy around.
Like shorty 20-inch barrel maybe on it.
nice.
Yeah. So I was fired up, man. I went and bought everything. So the ammunition gets delivered today to the freaking neighbor's house. Not my parents, by the way.
I was going to say.
But luckily, to the neighbor I actually knew the next street over and knew who we were and walked it over today and gave it to
Nice,
us. I'm
nice.
like, screw that up. Like, you
Oh,
don't even
dude, it
get it on the
happens all the
right
time.
the right street. So maybe I'll just, message Shields like, hey, I never got my package. See if they'll send me 2 more boxes.
I love Shields.
400 Legend. Yeah, dude, they had a great deal. Actually, their pricing on the ammunition was always cheaper than anywhere else and in stock, and nobody has that shit in stock right now.
Oh, yeah.
400 Legend's hard to find.
Yeah.
I was a little worried when I bought it because I
much
bought
did
it
you buy?
on a whim. 2 boxes,
I'd probably grab a couple
40
more.
rounds, and I will. I mean, they'll become more available.
They will.
I think the gun just came out in 2023.
Nice.
It's like brand new
Mhm.
that round. So fired up, man.
I like it.
Yeah,
Tell.
got my daughter a
Excited.
gun. but
I want to
it's
shoot
gonna
your
be
daughter's
mine.
gun.
I do too. Like, I want to see what the recoil on it because it's supposed to be like a pretty light recoil type gun, like somewhere right in the midst of the 450 and the 350. Because that 450, it bites a little.
It does. It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
If you get the, what is it? Is the Predator model? Because there's obviously the models, but I think the Predator, it's a little longer barrel, a little bit of that out.
Yeah,
I know
I don't
mine
know.
has the muzzle brake too.
Yes.
So that,
That helps.
That
that a little
helps,
bit,
but-
yeah.
a lot
Mine's
louder.
the muzzle brake.
yeah, but it's so much louder.
I know, that's the only bad
Yeah.
part. But it does take some recoil out of it, which is
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fired up. I was going to take that down to 2B this weekend, but not. Maybe next weekend. Yeah, I might. I don't want to take my own shotgun, but I've been taking my own shotgun.
I'll
just
give you a
because-
barrel before you leave.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Either way, I'm excited.
There's
Regardless.
always a 450
I didn't think about that either.
sitting in
Honestly,
my safe. Just-
Ruh-roh.
I carried that in Ohio that one time for that one day hunt I went down there. Dude, never saw a freaking deer.
That happens.
Sucked. So, anyways, yeah, I'm fired up. It's still deer season.
Yeah.
I'm still hunting.
Still hunting.
Still a good time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get another deer so I can give a lot of jerky meat. I've been doing a lot of jerky myself, but I want to give some jerky meat to my boss and see.
Jerky meat.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of the ground jerky. I really like it.
I'm a fan of it. I like the texture of it.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm just always, I grew up on the whole place. And
Are you a
Rip.
with the grain or against the grain kind of guy?
I don't discriminate against
Okay.
the grits.
Okay.
It all
The
depends.
people are usually one way or the other pretty strongly.
I know that. I just, it's whatever cut of meat I have and however easy it is to get the consistent. I like consistent, same size,
Yeah.
same length.
Do you cut it with a
whatever way-
knife?
I do.
No slicer,
No slicer.
jerky cutter that they
Nope.
sell now.
Nope.
I have a
See,
slicer at my house too. That's the crazy part.
That's
Like
what
a
you should be
really
using.
nice
Yeah.
one that I could
Mhm.
be using. But this year when I butchered all my deer, I pretty much butchered them all down to smaller pieces,
Yeah.
thinking I was going to grind what I was going to grind. And the rest went to like, I'm going to cube that up and cook it as like backstrap, even though it's the best cut at the rear quarter.
Dude, everybody gets pissed at me. Can I say pissed?
Oh yeah.
You
You
can
can say
say
anything you want on
You
here.
can say anything
Everybody
here.
gets pissed at me because I'll shoot a deer and I'll make sure I shoot a mature doe or something, and I'll use the backstrap as my jerky.
Wow. This
see,
is funny.
See what I'm saying? Like
This
people,
is-
it's
Get
like,
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Just get-
Listen,
But you get a consistent.
you gotta
cut,
go.
It's nice.
We haven't even introduced you
Yeah,
yet.
I know.
You have to fucking leave.
I know. I'm playing with fire. I'm
It's
playing with
okay.
fire. That's like
I'm sure it's phenomenal jerky.
it is so good.
All right. How do you do it?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I just do that old fashioned seasoning, and then I do a dehydrator. I'm not against like the stove and like
Yeah.
how people do it
No,
that
I do
way
mine.
and stuff.
I do mine in dehydrator.
Yeah, but it's the way to go. But I've learned from trial and error. Obviously, you want the closest you can to them being all the same size,
Mhm.
same cut, and all that. So when you move the racks around and stuff,
Yeah.
it gets done at the same time
Yeah.
too. You don't have one chunk that's like
Right.
Super thick.
almost
and,
an
yeah.
inch thick, and then you have one that's half inch thick, and
Yeah.
then they shrink.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the backstrap's good, because it's one consistent length. I can cut it in
Oh,
half,
man.
and I know exactly how long and how easy it's.
How
Dude,
good is
you
that
should just take
jerky?
a back
It's so
strap
good.
and put it on a slicer and slice it like a thick deli meat.
Right.
And just do the big rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I never even thought about
Dude,
that.
that
Oh,
would
yeah.
be awesome.
Yeah. You could easily like this, like
the whole
thin
thing,
steaks.
just chop, chop, chop.
You're talking
It'd
like
be-
Yeah.
you're talking like thin steaks. Like
Yeah.
putting them in just.
Yeah.
I have a slicer if you
Dude,
ever
that'd
want
be
to do
great.
it. It's fucking
I'm down
nice.
to try this.
Non-stop idea machine
Yeah.
in this fucking room right now.
What's funny is we were just on the polo group, and J-Bo had brought up about doing jerky with the backstrap, and Alex and I just fucking lit him on fire. Like, obviously joking, but we were before I came here, we were just talking about this, and I'm like, listen,
I've never heard of anybody doing
if
that.
anybody fucking grounds up the backstrap and makes it into jerky, you're no longer my friend. It was my exact
Listen,
words. Now, you didn't say you ground it, and
No,
neither did he.
No.
But that's what I missed his polo, and I just heard Alex talking about it, and I was like, I was all fired up, but I wasn't serious at all.
Yeah.
At all. I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. But I just I couldn't fucking do it. I couldn't do it. Like, that's the piece though that my wife eats. Like,
yeah.
So everything else we grind because she loves the backstrap and some of the rear quarters. She don't know any better.
Yeah.
She don't know the difference. And then the rest is ground because that's what we eat.
Let me ask you, how many does your household take in a season?
Oh boy. Well,
Usually 2.
So you would be a little different.
Yeah.
I shot a bunch this year, mostly archery.
What did I shoot? 5 this year? Yeah, I shot 5 this
Pretty
year.
good.
So 5, but in a calendar year, do you?
But I gave 2 away
Okay, so that's different.
because my freezers are pretty full from the year before. I shot 8 last year.
But
Yeah,
if you
you
were
were full.
given the 2 that you were giving away, you could have easily.
I
Like,
kept
I'm
the
sure the
back
people. I was going to say,
To 1.
keep the back straps and like do it on those. I'm telling you,
Mhm.
you're going to taste. Obviously,
Yeah.
you would know you're going to taste a difference.
Yeah.
It's a totally different cut. It's the best cut of meat on the deer, and in my opinion,
Yeah.
and a lot of people's opinion. But like, it comes out. It's so nice.
Man, that
And it
would
holds
be,
the flavor. In my, I don't know how true this is, but it's just because I'm trying to justify using a backstrap. But I think it holds. I think it holds the flavor. Like when I marinate it and put it in the fridge and stuff, and then go to put it in the dehydrator, like I think it tastes better.
I'm sure it does.
This is
It's
my
fucking-
prime jerky.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You get
This
the
top
Stickle
shelf.
Fritz.
Well, not only that, but you're not chewing through any gristle. You're not chewing through
No.
anything. No fucking silver
I
skin.
kinda like
Nothing.
the chewy, but like I hate
I
picking
do,
that shit out of my
but
teeth.
my teeth, it hurts so
Yeah.
bad.
So I'm very particular on how I butcher my deer, like more so than like I butcher with your brother and stuff all the time. And I will sit there for, I don't want to say hours, but just cutting all that stuff.
Yeah.
that
Okay, so you do
nobody
take a
likes
lot
to-
of it out.
I make sure it doesn't have it.
I
You
take
should
it out
see
of
those
anything.
back straps in my freezer right now.
Yeah.
They are pristine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
work real
dude.
hard making presentation. It's like half the
Mhm.
battle.
Yep.
I do all that. This is the first year that I've left some of that more than usual in my grind, but that's it. But I take all the big stuff out. I don't.
Oh yeah.
That shit don't taste good.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't, and
No.
and people can tell the difference, and that's why I think a lot of people run into a lot of people, I should say, that don't like deer meat,
Yeah,
quote unquote.
It's gamey.
It's gamey. I don't like deer meat. It doesn't taste good. And I'm like, okay, but whose fucking deer meat are you eating? Because
Yep.
you're not eating my deer meat the way I prepare it, or else you wouldn't have a different opinion.
Did it ride around in the back of a truck for 3 days?
Exactly.
And-
Yeah.
and
Was it
also, like,
was
what
it under
butcher
the
shop
bottom
did
of
you
a
get it?
cooler in the water? You know, like where was it?
Yeah. What butcher shop did you go to? How many
Yeah.
different deers were put into
Exactly,
that?
because you're not getting your deer back
No,
in the
you're not.
grind,
No,
and
you're
they've
not.
admitted that.
Yeah.
They don't have time to go, okay, here's this guy's deer. I'm going to put this through the grinder now. Okay, now this person's deer. No, they weigh it. They throw it all into a big bucket. They throw all your deer into the grind, and they come out and say, okay, here's 7 pounds of this guy. Here's 6 pounds of that guy.
Exactly.
And which one of those 15 guys that got ground up, how did they take care of their deer after they killed it? How did they gut that deer? Did they cut into the stomach matter and leak it all into the back legs? Like, you know what I mean? That's
or obliterated the guts,
Or,
got
yeah.
it all over the meat.
it
and
didn't
all
find
that,
it
and
till the
didn't
next
hose it
morning, and
off
all
or-
you know.
Yeah, anything. Yep.
Just saying.
why I like doing
It gives
my
you
own
the
deer.
heebie-jeebies,
Exactly.
and that's why I do my own deer, other than
Yeah.
the cost. So, anyways, we're here. We're in the podport. We got freaking Marty Ferrucci here. We're finally going to introduce him since he's been talking this whole time. He's supposed to shut up during the intro, but he just can't. I'm kidding.
I'm a talker. I
Totally
can't help
kidding,
it.
dude. Totally kidding. Good to have you. It's way overdue. I know we've been trying to do this for a while now.
I know my secretary, your guys, is saying like we just couldn't get it.
My
to
people
work.
and your people.
Yeah, it just didn't work.
I know,
I'm happy
dude.
to be on it. I like
Heck
shooting
yeah.
the shit
I'm
with
glad
anybody.
you're here, dude.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man. Well, it wasn't just because you killed a big deer while you're on, by the way, because I know, you do that a lot of times, but we have, for the record, invited Marty on in the past. Okay, it just hasn't worked out. I just want to make that clear. Now, granted, you shot a fucking stud this year.
I know. I'm pumped about that.
Holy moly. We'll get into that. We can't jump into it right now. We can't just jump into it, but let the listeners know that deer was enormous.
It's bananas.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, one of the most impressive looking deer, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, when you see it, you walk into the room and you see that rack, you're like, damn, dude. Like, that doesn't look like a Pennsylvania deer.
No, 100%. I agree. Like, when I got that first trail cam pic of that buck, I knew it was big because, like we said before, like the trail cam, it can play tricks on you.
It can.
Everybody I showed was like, "Where's that deer? That's not here. That's not around here."
Indiana.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was
Illinois,
full velvet.
Iowa.
So in full velvet, it's so much bigger.
It would have been huge.
Oh,
Dude, full velvet. I couldn't even imagine the mass on that deer, full velvet.
Oh, yeah.
while you guys are talking,
It carried its mass the whole way through the whole thing.
Every single point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking G2s and G3s that probably would have measured mass-wise in the 5-inch range.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here.
Oh,
Good
yeah. Good.
golly.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's like, I think this is very early August.
Oh, he still had time.
Oh yeah, he got a little bit bigger.
That's so stupid.
Unreal, dude.
Yeah.
Unreal.
That's so stupid. That's awesome. But listen, man, you've put in the work for that deer and other deer over the years. We know that for sure. So we're going to jump into all that. We're going to get into all of it. We got to get the biz real quick. We're not even going to.
We're going to blast through the business real quick.
Yeah, it's going to take 2 seconds. We
Yeah.
take too much time on the biz. So we got to talk about VIP archery. Best broadheads in the biz. I'm going to keep saying biz just to piss people off. What do you like? Which one you liking today?
I mean, I want to go back to the combat vet, but I mean, at the same time, the Ranger's awesome. The Bomber, the Commander.
Commander's a new fave.
And you know what? Even running back to the OG, just a regular veteran, dude.
Wow. That is old school, dude.
Great. The blue one right there,
yeah.
buddy. I still have some.
Do you? I do too. I do too. They're still in my thing.
The original blue veteran, dude.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the Commander. I might go a little heavier this year. I don't know yet. We'll see. But
you gotta shoot some meat missiles, dude.
Go check them out. VIParchery.com. And then we have
Freddy Krueger blood.
You dick. And then we got the Back 40 Seed Company. Whoa, doggy. You got there some Hideaway blend, hybrid AP. Dude, they got some great blends. And the best part about Back 40 Seed, they're right here in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
They are growing seed in Pennsylvania.
And right now, they got free shipping on small seeds.
Wow. There you go.
Let's go.
All small seed blends.
Yep. Trico. Ship for $5, 25-pound bag.
Wow.
Pretty good.
That actually is pretty good. You try to ship from a lot of places with seed and stuff like that.
It's expensive. Yeah.
It's very expensive.
I ship stuff every day. 25 pounds is very expensive.
Yes.
So that's
way more
crazy.
than $5.
Way more than $5. Use code Distraction10.
There you go.
There
Boom.
you go. Boom. Done
That's
with the
biz.
business.
All right. Let's get back to this handsome man over here. Look at this handsome gentleman.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Comes in here wearing Sitka hat and
I know,
heated
but
vest.
I mean, before we started, you know how I feel about it.
We've talked about it plenty.
It's all good.
Listen, it's good stuff, man. It's
It
warm.
is. It is.
You're warm out there.
Yeah, 100%.
There you go.
Yep.
That's all that matters. We won't talk about it anymore, though. You know, there's like a certain gayness to it, right?
It's like I said before. I just want to put it on the record.
Yeah.
I
Let
do
the people know.
I do enjoy my Sitka. My police background is heavily influences why I purchased Sitka. That discount is nice. The clothes are fantastic.
Yeah.
The Sitka price with
It's hard.
it's very hard.
Mhm.
If I paid full price for it, I probably wouldn't wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't know we had a narc in here, did you?
Are you or are you not a knock?
Listen, if I ask you if you're a cop, you have to tell me you are or not.
I live in the gray area. I don't have to say that.
Oh, man. Okay.
Shit. Good to have you, buddy.
It is good
By
to
the
have
way.
you.
It's good to be
Good to
here.
have you.
I kind of want to jump back to like beginning. We haven't done that in a while.
We really haven't. We haven't truly let someone kind of introduce themselves. We used to do it a lot back in the day where it was like kind of bring us back to baby Marty. You know,
man.
little baby Marty growing up in the world. Like what what got you into hunting. That's what we used to do a lot. So if you want to do that, bring us back, man. Because
I think you're a good person to do that with.
I agree.
I'll tell you, I remember living at duplex in Hillsville, and my dad would disappear. EK camp, it was a family camp, and my grandpa would go, my uncles would go, and all that, and then they would all come back. They're all wearing like their blaze orange and all this other stuff, and deer would be hanging out of the beds of trucks, and I just was around it my entire childhood. My dad would always like include us with it, so it was an easy transition. And if my dad did it, I wanted to do it. So that's kind of, which is like common with everybody. So I'm trying to think of, I know my dad was pushing us to do the hunter safety course, obviously, and he didn't have to push much. And I wanted to do it because I wanted to hunt with him. And as I got older, this was well before 12. Like I just wanted to hunt. I wanted to be in the woods. And I had a lot of, my dad would take us and all this other stuff. So I spent a lot of my childhood in the woods anyway. But fast forward to 12, take hunter safety course, obviously pass it, go get my license, do all that stuff. And we go into the woods. My very first sit in the woods, I'm sitting with my dad. It's rifle season because he's not taking 12. And you know how that is.
I do. Yeah. At 12 years old, I did not archery hunt either. And I don't think I was even close to ready.
Yeah. So back then, and I say back then like it's a long time ago, but the seasons were split.
Yeah. And our old asses, we were the ones that still had to wait till we were 12.
Yeah.
There was no program for us for early hunting.
Exactly.
We were waiting.
Exactly. You know? So I'm sitting on it. We called it the hump. It's at Quaker Falls, which you've hunted. And I'm sitting there and these doe come up. Can't do nothing about it. And then behind it was just a little basket 6 point. You would think it was 197. I was like, I didn't even pull up the gun. I was shaking so much. I'd never seen something. My dad just looked at me. He's like, pick the gun up. I'm just like froze. I froze. So he shoots it. Deer dies.
Classic.
You would have thought I just shot it. I get up. I'm like, I raise my hands up. I'm like,
we got it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we get down over there and he starts gutting it. And that's the first time I ever seen a deer gutted. And it was everything I kind of thought. And you know, you're going to be a hunter when you see a deer being field dressed and you don't like, I didn't get grossed out. I didn't get I was all about, I'm like, what are you cutting? I was very into it.
Yeah.
And then that process is done. He's tagging the deer and all that. And I'm helping him drag it out. And it was awesome. It was father, son, the kill, the drag.
Yeah.
We were out of breath, sweating, falling. He's cussing. I'm not allowed to. I want to, but like it was like we get it to the truck and like, man, I couldn't wait to get back. And I'm like, let's go again. And let's go for lunch. Yeah. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And it's easy to distract me. I was 12, but just from that point on, like I was pushing to go into the woods. And when my dad was working, I was pushing my mom to go into the woods. And it just spiraled from there. And it just kept going. And then when I got to 16, because that's where you want to get to that so you can hunt by yourself. That's when I really started trying to learn spots, funnel points, like shelves and all that, and trying to hunt correct winds. And to this day, I'm still not good at hunting a wind.
It's tough. It's really
tough. When we get to this buck, I was in that spot, and the whole time I was there, I was cussing myself because I never looked at the wind. It was blowing in my face to where I thought he was bedding. Mm-hmm. And I thought I just screwed up the entire hunt the whole time I was there. Yeah. And I'll get into that because my cousin was a big part of why I got that deer. And it's because of the wind and his text messages and stuff. But no, you live and learn. I'm not your conventional hunter, so to speak. Like I do try and learn, and I hunt really, really hard, and it definitely ups my success. Like because I've gotten a lot of good deer over the years, a lot of good deer.
Oh yeah.
And I think if you're obviously if you're in the woods, your chances just.
Oh yeah.
Because some people make that excuse. I'll go tomorrow. I'll go there. Like the buck I shot a couple years ago, I was in the garage with your brother, showing him pictures, a trail cam pic of the buck that I shot the next day. And it's 3:00 in the morning, and I'm like, bro, I gotta go to bed. I gotta go hunt this deer in a couple hours. And then I get up, and then the rest is history with that deer. And that was an impressive.
That was a big deer, dude.
Yeah.
Wider than hell.
Oh, like 24-inch spread,
Unbelievable
inside spread. Like, it's
deer.
amazing.
Unbelievable.
Couldn't believe it.
That deer was very impressive.
Yeah.
The whole story on that deer too was unreal.
Yeah. That was the call your shot year. Me and your brother were calling our shots. Couldn't believe it. It was a fun year.
Yeah. I mean, I'll vouch, man. There's through the years of knowing you guys, like you and Alan, you guys put in so much
Get it
time.
done.
But not just during season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prepping stands, prepping trails, like that old property you talked about that you guys used to hunt a lot.
Yeah.
You guys aren't hunting that anymore, right?
No, it went back to the county.
It's sold. I saw that. Yeah.
So we don't hunt it.
Oh,
Right.
man.
But like the time they put in down there, and then like even bringing McCoy in there, and I'm like, man, they put a lot of freaking effort into that place. Like, and I'm sure there was more elsewhere. That's just what I saw.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that was just Quaker Falls, and it was the best kept secret in my opinion. I mean, nobody wanted to hunt it because it was such a hard hunt.
Mm-hmm.
But since I grew up hunting there,
That's what you knew.
I'm used to, like, because it's like similar to hunting in the mountains.
Yeah.
It's just rolling hills, deep ravines, briars the whole way, and just blowdowns kind of.
Yeah. Thick, nasty bottom.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
just unreal.
Yep.
Yeah. Super nasty.
And so it just deterred a lot of people. People could hunt it, but they just didn't want to do that. And then the people that went there to hunt it would stay on trails, sit on a track bed, and you got to, I mean, obviously you got to go in the woods.
Yeah, you got to work a little bit.
Yeah, you got to work a little.
That was like the thing with McCoy, though, was back in the day, he would go in there a bunch, and he would just bring all kinds of people, smoking cigarettes. Well, he come to realize, like, hey, you can't get away with that. Like, every time I go check my camera every week and do this, I see less and less deer, and it's prior to season. Yeah. So, I mean, he learned even through you guys, like, hey, you got to be a little bit smart about how you do things. You can put the work in, but, like, be a little smarter, too.
Oh, yeah. It definitely, you go check your trail cam, like, before cell cams. You go check your trail cams every single day.
It's not going to be good.
It's not good. You're going to have a lot of nocturnal deer.
Yeah.
And your target buck is going to be in somebody else's yard or on somebody else's wall.
Yeah.
I guess is a better way to put it.
I got the funniest story. I don't even know, but how we've met the Ferruccis. The first I knew of the Ferruccis, I absolutely hated Alan, despised him. Now, granted, this is through softball. Okay, that's where we first kind of got to know each other, was softball. And Alan was always that guy walking around with his chest puffed out, this little scrawny thing. But like him and Marty were always on the same team. Great softball players. And I'll give that. Great softball players. Man, you'd show up, they'd be in the lower division just hitting bombs and shit. And you're like, those guys suck. They're in the lower division. You know, what is this kid doing walking around with his chest puffed out and shit? That's like the first I remember back in the day of the Ferruccis.
Oh, I know.
That was the good old dude. That was a long time ago.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Alan hasn't changed one bit.
I actually like him now, though.
Yeah.
For the record.
It's different when he's on the other team or something you're watching him, but if he's on your team, you're kind of okay with it, I guess.
Marty and Alan started playing with us, I don't even know how many years ago after that. We started doing like tournaments and stuff.
I remember the tournament. One of your players was heavily intoxicated. And
oh, God.
I stepped in, and I was initially a base runner. And then we ended up progressing. I batted, and then I played with you ever since.
Yeah.
Years ago.
Who was the intoxicated person? Do you remember?
Alex.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember that tournament now.
Yeah, the Red Rocket.
Yeah. We had to bench him. And Marty came in. He got pissed, left. He literally went home. I was like, look, dude, you suck. He doesn't. he's going to play or not.
And no disrespect, Alex hits bombs, but he was just bombed.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah, like every swing flying out to the infield kind of thing. And it was like, ugh. And it sucked because I'm like, the fuck, man? I picked this guy up because he kills us every time he plays against us. Kills us.
Same.
And then he killed us when he played against or for us, too. Bastard's just out to get us the whole time.
I know.
You know?
That's hilarious.
And that was years ago. But that's when we start to realize, like, oh, you hunt, we hunt. Ah, okay. We got more in common than just the softball field.
I can always get along with a hunter.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I meet guys and I'm like, oh, yeah, what do you like to do? They're like, I go golfing every weekend. And there's nothing wrong with golf. I like golf, too. But, like, I was looking more for fishing or hunting or something like that. But a hunter, man, I can always get along with a hunter.
Yeah.
No matter what.
That's like
you got that common ground.
Exactly. That's when the wife says, "Oh, we're gonna go hang out with so and so. You're gonna love her husband." I'm like, "Am I?"
I know.
Chances are, I'm probably gonna try and get along, but just like you said, in the first establishing that supposed friendship that's supposed to happen, if hunting and fishing is not in that first,
I just know.
In the first 10 minutes, you should know if you're gonna like this person or not.
Like matter of fact, if they're walking up and they're wearing hunting gear. We're bros.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I know it.
Yeah. But, you got to be cautious because there's that other tier of hunter, air quoting, hunter that's a fucking douchebag.
That's true, too.
The guy that poaches deer and shoots other people's deer tags and baits and stuff. That's what I mean.
You're right.
Like that guy. And you're like, I can't. And then the problem with that is I'm going to be careful what I say here because I have a couple of these people I know. But like when you're a wife's friend with their wife and they're around a lot and it's like, you guys should talk, you're hunters. It's like, I can't fucking stand this guy. I hate his guts, but you have to be nice. But it's like, you don't want to talk about hunting because in the first 10 minutes, is that a real hunter or is that a guy that goes rifle hunting for 2 hours and then drinks and, doesn't dirty shit. You don't want to be that guy.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm 100% agree.
I could tell you after this who those people are, and I think you know.
Oh yeah,
but
definitely.
There's a couple of them, and I want to hunt with them.
No.
Well, that's like I have people. I guess I'm friends with, and then I have associates, and then I do have friends. Like I would much rather archery hunt than rifle hunt, but I don't. I mean, the tier is. It's almost dead even. And it's hard to say that because I do love archery hunting.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love rifle hunting. And it's because your friends, our group of friends, go off all year long, do whatever. You might not talk to a friend the entire year. A week before rifle season, I'll get a text.
The phones start ringing.
What is your plans?
Yeah.
I'm like, the group is back, man. It's nice that you just walk through, get blaze orange, try and get your friends deer. I spend all archery season trying to get what I need done because, and you know this, I'm all about getting other people deer. Rifle season, I will push until I collapse.
Most selfless person I know when it comes to that.
Yeah,
honestly, you and your brother too. Like you guys will go through hell pushing deer for people just to have someone else shoot one. Like I showed up at your property, never hunted there before, didn't care if I killed a deer, and you're like, hey, go sit up in that stand. It's one of my best stands. And you guys are pushing. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. It's your property.
Yeah.
Yeah, why am I not pushing?
Right. Why am I not pushing? I'll push. Like, no. You get up in that stand and you go hunt. I'm like, okay, calm down. I will.
Well, that's because I've been with so-called friends hunting and you're going to this spot and he's like, oh, I shot a nice deer over here once. And then you've realized like he's hunted this area for 10 plus years, hunted that spot probably a few times, never seen one deer, but on a random push, a deer belled out, went right to him. He shot it, got it. But it's not really like an ideal spot. When people want to hunt with me, I cater it to them. So if I'm bringing you to my area, why in the world would I set you up for failure?
Yeah.
If I know that, like the spot you're talking about, I've hunted there since I was 12 years old, I'm going to put you in the absolute best spot I can. I want you to see everything. And in hunting an area, you know where they're going to funnel, you know their bell outs and all that. You know when they're going to circle, like at Quaker, I know when they're going to circle around, and I know how to get them back down the hill.
Yep.
So I'm going to overload all my buddies and everything, family and that, and put them in the best spots. And I'm like, here, this deer is probably going to come right here. This is going to try and go down. And that's how I don't want to change how I hunt, because I know how, like McCoy, he needs to have probably 5 deer in his freezer, because they eat a lot of deer through the year. And so when Mike gets past archery season, because archery season you go out, unless you do a buddy hunt or whatever, but you pretty much go out and do your own thing. But come rifle, I'm like, all right, you want a deer? I'm going to form a plan. I'm going to do it the night before. I'm going to set up multiple things, and I'm going to I get on my Snapchat. Like, I'll screenshot it and I'll doodle on it and stuff, and I'll send it out. But I like to get other people deer. It's every bit as fun as me get deer. And when they're my friends, it's so much better, because it creates a great story.
Yes. And it makes more sense too, like you're saying. If it's your property you've hunted your whole life, you know how to push that property out. You're going to do it right. If you sit and have someone else try to push the way you're going to push, for one, most people when they push, they're going to take the easy way out.
Yep.
Yeah,
and they're going to miss that little thick spot. And that deer, you could be 20 yards away, watch them walk right past you, where you know if you crash through there.
Sometimes you got to step on them too, man.
Right.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
The one.
Geoff.
Yeah. Good guy. Came hunting, and we started that push, and up at the top, there's at the top power line, there is a very small triangle piece that nobody touches it, because other people do hunt that area. It's in front of an old track bed and by a power line. Dude, we make sure we hit that all the time, and then look what happened that
Shot
time.
That really nice buck.
Really nice 8
That was the first we've ever met of Geoff as well, by the way. That's the first. He worked with Boer, just randomly brought him with him as a hunt. And I'm this picture's circulating. I'm going, who the freak is this guy? Like, who is this guy? He shot this really nice buck on the Ferrucci property. I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. Does anybody know him?
Yeah.
Like, back then, that's how fresh it literally was the day that I found out who this kid was.
I love Geoff, dude. He's a good dude.
Such a good dude. I've been hunting the shit out of coyotes with him. But, like, I didn't know who he was. And then I yelled at you guys back then in that day, too, because I'm like, you guys have something special here. And because you are so selfless. I'm like, you let too many people on here killing too many deer, you're going to have a reduction in the quality of hunting over time. You know, I was like, you guys got to draw it back.
And you know what, though? Like, my argument,
kill the fuck out of deer.
I always maintain that argument. I'm like, listen, you can crush an area. You really can. Quaker,
it was a special place.
I don't know. I for years and years, and if there was a reduction in deer, I never noticed it.
Yeah.
Because every year I would get my friends. I'm like, even if I didn't do it all rifle season, I'd be like, okay, last day we're going to Quaker. We're going to set pushes all day long. And we would keep track of how many deer out of our group would be taken. It'd be up around deer. Every year. There'd be 4 or 5 buck killed, probably 3 really nice ones, 2 not, just average. But every year, 20.
Yeah.
And
that's what I'm like.
Pretty good.
After 2 years of seeing that, I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, I know.
Because you guys aren't killing a lot of those deer, like you said.
Yeah, we set everybody
else
up.
Right. Yep. Now, granted, a lot of those times you've probably already filled your buck tag in archery. So, like, you're running around with just doe tags, and I get that. But, like, dude, legitimately, there would be 2 or 3 nice deer a year come out of there in rifle pushes. And back then, too, I was kind of not against rifle hunting, but I wasn't, like, feeling it anymore. Now, getting back into, like, more with the friends and hunting, I've found that passion for it again. But, like, for a couple years there, all I wanted to do was just shoot every deer with my bow. And I didn't really care about rifle. Like, I didn't. And I'm looking at you guys, and you're, like, pushing and shooting 20 deer, and I'm like, you guys are killing your property because you archery hunt the hell out of it too and do really well. I was like, you guys got to dial it back, man.
Yeah.
But you're right. It never hurt what you did.
No. I think what happened, I think the reason why is because it borders Ohio, stricter out there. Farm fields, well, pull deer from everywhere.
Yeah.
And then there's a piece of property just inside Ohio. It's a large piece of property, holds a lot of deer, and it's posted.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just like every Ohio piece of property.
Yeah.
The property owner he won't let it. So I think you're pulling deer from there too.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
For sure.
Oh.
Yeah, you had a sanctuary right next door, basically.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Good old days, man.
Long
Good old
gone.
days. I'm sure you miss it.
I do
honestly.
miss it because that is one of those ones where it's nice to know exactly what to do, where to put somebody.
Mhm.
I mean, I can't be all that mad because of Quaker, because that property is gone is why I branched out and started hunting other properties and got put on great deer. And I was spoiled, so I didn't want to learn. I didn't want to further my hunting because I didn't need to. Deer were there. I just knew how to hunt my area. But since that happened, I've really stepped up how I hunt because I just wanted to shoot bigger deer. I stopped, and there was a couple years where I didn't shoot a buck because I was like, I only want to shoot this caliber deer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not one of those ones where I'm like, I shoot nothing but big bucks and I don't shoot those little deer. No, if a smaller buck comes out and I want to shoot it, I'm going to shoot. If it makes me hot, I'm going to shoot it.
Heck yeah.
I'm going to harvest that deer.
Oh yeah.
But I was really I've been blessed. I have a lot of nice deer. I'm going to try and get one of these monarchs or that everybody talks about. I'm like, and because you're going to get those 2 to 3 year old bucks. They look good. 110, maybe 120 inches, which is actually, that's a nice,
really good
that's
deer.
A
It's a great deer for
That's a
Pennsylvania.
really, really good deer.
Yeah.
But I have a few of those on the wall. So I'm going to tone it back. I'm really going to focus on trying to hunt these deer. But in turn of doing that, you watch a lot of deer.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of deer. You watch a lot of immature bucks come in and and you see how they act and you see what they see, because I always think a deer is looking at me. No. They don't look at you at all unless you're moving, doing something stupid up in the stand. But they don't. If you're doing everything right, they don't know where you are.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting watching them do their thing, and they'll bed by you and eat. I had a group of mature doe the day I shot that buck last year, and they're right next to me and they're just chewing on this little sapling that's pointed in my I'm thinking they're looking straight at me, but they're
looking right
not
through
a care
you.
in the world.
Yeah.
But it's because of losing that first property to the county is made me a better hunter, I think. I think.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you always had the work ethic of it.
Oh yeah.
It was just that you put so much time into learning that one property and knowing the ins and outs of it.
That's probably a better way to put it. That's
Yeah.
100% true. We just focused on cultivate and making that property to where rifle is archery. I let the deer come to me like everybody else, but rifle I like to ambush and go to them kind of thing. That's why we do the pushes the way we do it.
Right.
But having that property for so long and learning bell out points and I forced myself to hunt different areas on that property because it's such a big vast property.
Yeah.
So then you really learn, okay, they don't really like coming up here ever.
Mhm.
So they don't bell out here. They'll bell we call it the 67 sign. If they bell out early on the push, it's going to be at the 67 sign. Otherwise, they're going down to the bend and coming right up over. And so you kind of figure that stuff out, trial and error.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
but yeah, no, we definitely hunt hard too. So that helps too. You learn a lot from hunting hard.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, we might as well get into it, right?
I do. I want to get into it a little bit, but I want to kick back to the beginning of your season. You're going out, you're putting out trail cameras before you even knew anything about anything this year. Kick me off at the beginning of the season.
Well, for that particular buck, finding that deer, I was literally, because I'm good friends with the farmer, but the kid who runs his farm, I'm really good friends with, and I usually do start putting my cameras out July, August. I know a lot of people though. I have a couple people I talk to. They're I don't put them out until September or whatever. I like to just see deer, so I'm putting them out anyways.
I like them in July.
But I was getting all my cameras set up, getting all I'll go get during the velvet seasons and stuff just to see what's there. I'll get I'll put corn out or something, and especially on a farm, it don't last long.
No,
Those deer crush it in
they
one
eat it
night.
up pretty quick.
And raccoons and everything. You'll see everything that's there. But like, I'll put out stuff to attract the deer so I can get the picture and see what's in the area. And I'll do it probably once, maybe twice, because the closer you get to the season, I stop doing it.
Yep.
So I was getting ready. I actually literally got all my cameras ready and stuff. And I was talking to my wife about it, and I needed to get a hold of Patrick and start talking about how I need to put stuff out and get my camera set up. And I always like to talk to, because it's a farm that I hunt out there. I always like to talk to the farmer. They don't see deer. I mean, they see deer as a nuisance.
Yeah.
Most farmers. And like when you're trying to find a mature, huge buck, like you ask them, like, do you got any big ones on the property? They're like, oh yeah, and they'll use hand gestures. They're like, oh, there was a big one. It had 3 on one side. That is big.
Every
Or
deer
something. It's very
is
big.
this big, by
Yeah,
the
that
way.
is
When
big.
you talk to someone, they're all like shoulder length big.
So I called Patrick and I was like, hey, I said, have you been seeing anything like what I shot the year before? And he's like, hold on a sec. He sends me a video. He's like this grainy cell phone video. He's in the tractor. He's plowing a field, and there was a little bit of high grass, and he saw the tines, and I might have it on my phone somewhere. I'll show you. He kicks it up, and it's not really that close to him, and the deer's running away. So he sends me this grainy video, and I'm like blowing it up. I'm trying to see, but the only thing I could tell was it was a stud
Yeah.
just running away from him. And needless to say, the next day I was putting a trail cam in that patch of woods where he was plowing.
Yeah.
Or where he was setting it up and stuff. And so when I went there, I set my stuff out. I put some corn. I put the trail cam on it. And then, my gosh, it was right before dark. That picture I showed you of him standing broadside, I must have got 200 pictures of him the first day. He was there all night into the next morning. And then he left, and then he came back, and he just wouldn't leave it alone. And I'm like, then you get excited, but then that feeling comes in, like the fall switch.
Yeah.
Like I call it the fall
He's
switch.
gonna
I don't
be
know if that's what
gone.
it's really called, but I know they go to their fall spot.
patterns, whatever
yeah.
they call it. Yeah.
But I always call,
range, yeah, sure, whatever you want to call it.
I'm like, I've learned all too often. You get that nice buck very early. It's probably not going to be there come the season, something like that. So, but we're getting closer to the season, and I don't even want to go in there. Not that I try and watch my scent, and I try not to touch anything. In the middle of summer, even like touching trees and stuff, I don't even like doing that. And my camera, I have one of those things that screw in the tree, the camera holders that screw into the tree with the little pivot arm and that.
Yep.
Stupid raccoon, right? It was like a month before the season. A stupid raccoon. You just see him messing around out in front of it, climbing trees and stuff. And then all of a sudden you see like fur in front of the camera, and then my camera's facing the bark. So he pulls my camera down a month. And so now I'm making the tough decision. Like I'm sitting at work at my desk, and I'm like looking at my camera on my phone, and it's like had this giant buck all August. We're into September. We're getting close to and I'm like, do I run up there and flip it?
Mm-hmm.
I want to, and I should have.
Yeah.
Because it was killing me. And my cousin has my cameras too, because he don't hunt it there, but I like letting him see the deer.
Right.
And he's texting me every single day. And then I was like, between work and all this other stuff, I didn't get a chance to go out there. And it got close to the season, and I'm like, I'll just fix it on the first day. I don't want to go in there. He's going to be my luck. He'll be bedded right on the other side of it, or he's coming in, or he's just going to be standing there and he's going to run. He's never going to come back. I'll just do it the first sit. I'll go get up in the tree. I'll come down. I'll fix the darn camera, and then I'll back out for lunch and come back or something like that.
Right.
Boy, you are a better man than me.
Yeah, that's one of the ones where you got to get like, hey, get the tractor, let's go. Bring the tractor as close as you can to it, leave it running, jump off of it, go fix the camera, and run back onto the
I wouldn't be able to handle that.
That's what I would have done.
There's two things because I was going to do that.
Yeah.
I thought about calling Patrick and like, hey, can we just go over there and I could do it? But then the farm season, man, I don't like bothering him because I know he's got a lot to do.
True.
So that's what kind of went through there. But he's also, I told him what happened with the raccoons. I said, you got a raccoon problem because there was like 7 of them. And he's like, well, I can go flip your camera. And I'm like, do you know where it's at? He's like, no. I said, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
He was wandering around all over the woods.
But that's so my first sit, I sat there. I saw a lot of deer my first sit. Probably close to 20. If it wasn't 20, it was a little. And it was a lot of immature bucks came through. And last light, because I was shooting, in my household, I don't kill just to kill. So that's why I was trying to hunt like a bigger deer, because my household doesn't eat as much deer as like a McCoy household. Mm-hmm. But I had the farmer doesn't kill deer, but likes to eat deer. So he said, anything you shoot, I need you to get rid of some of these deer. So I was on a mission that year, because the years prior, I haven't really been killing as many deer as possible because I was hunting for the horns.
Yeah. And at some point, you got to put up numbers for the farmer to keep him happy.
Because I'm the only one who has permission to hunt this farm.
Yeah. Right.
Well, within reason. I tell him, like, dude, if you have someone, I can't tell you to. I appreciate it, but do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. You know what I'm looking for. So if you have someone who comes out and just gets some doe off the property, and then if they shoot a buck, whatever, it is what it is. But like, so that first night, I crushed the doe right at last light. Came in. There was like 20 in the field, and this one came by itself. And I'm like, it came 20 yards broadside, and I shot. It didn't even go like Brett Daniels. Didn't go 20.
Didn't go 20.
It just fell over and died. And I got it out of there. And then I went to fast forward to the next week, because I'm at work doing all this stuff, and we're qualifying out the Mahoning Sportsman. That's where our guys, we'll switch it up, but it was Mahoning Sportsman this time. We're out qualifying, I'm shooting and stuff. And I looked at my cameras, and my one camera on that farm was, the battery was dead. It's a different location. And I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm out in this area. Let me go do this. I'll go to the store real quick. I mean, we have time before I have to go work and do all this other stuff. And we're so close that it's not going to matter. So I'm like, I'll go do this. So I always call the farmer and tell him, like, hey, I'm going to stop. Like, they know my truck, but I don't know, force of habit. And it's like courtesy. Like, I'm coming onto your property. I'm doing this, and this is what I'm doing. And then I'm going to leave.
Good thing to do, man.
Yeah. So I call him and I tell him, hey, I'm going to so-and-so spot on your property, and I'm going to flip the kid, because the other camera got flipped down by another set of raccoons. And it was dead. So it was like, it was just bad all around. So he's like, hey, I got to tell you. And I'm like, okay, what do you got to tell me? He's like, well, I know you don't hunt down by the cow pasture. So one of my close friends he wants a doe. So there's been a lot of doe down there. So I let him go down there. And he called me, and he said he has the biggest buck he has ever seen, 40 yards from him in a thicket. He says he can't get a shot at it. And he's like, I said, okay, so what did he do? He's like, well, I told him not to shoot it. I said, what, you did what? He's like, yeah, I told him that was your buck, and he's not allowed to shoot that deer. And I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't ever do that. He's like, well, it's too late. I already did it. I said, he's a little mad at me. He said he won't ever hunt this property again, and he left. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, Patrick, please, if you let someone hunt the property, don't do that to him. Because in my mind, I'm like, I knew it was this deer.
Dude, that's a great landowner.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Can you imagine?
I hope you got him like a gift basket or something.
Dude, I give him a lot of deer and all this. And I do take care of them. Like, they're so good to me.
That's awesome.
But he's like, so the kid left, and he's like, well, that happened. That was yesterday. And the cow pasture on this piece of property, I have a thing about cows. So I steer clear of cows. I don't trust them.
I love cow pastures. I hate cows.
Yeah.
I love cow pastures.
Exactly. And there's a lot of woods in this particular fence. And it's actually a small patch of woods on their property, but then it goes into like kind of a power line, and then a little bit bigger, and then more fields of cornfields and stuff. And I was like, all right, I said, where are the cows? He's like, oh, they're not in that field this year. I'm like, can I hunt that? He's like, you don't even have to ask. I'm like, all right, give me a couple minutes. I said, I'm going to change the batteries. I call my chief. I'm like, hey, do you care if I like cut out early today? He's like, it's 2:00. I'm like, yeah, the farmer said he's seen my, I got to rewind because he also said that when he rides over there, because after he's done working, he rides his dirt bike and stuff. He's like, I have been seeing the buck over there. I'm like, you just now telling me this? So I'm like, my whole day changes. I rush back to the office. I unload what I have to unload. I go to my house, grab all my hunting gear, and I shoot out there. I do go to my one spot, flip the camera back up, and then I go meet the farmer. And I'm like, take me and show me where you think I need to be. So he takes me to the little patch of woods, and he points over to the left of the property, and he's like, well, that's where so-and-so went, and he's seen him somewhere over here. I'm like, okay. So I'm looking at that, and I'm like, he picked a pretty good spot, but there's a little stream. It runs off from the farm fields that come through it. And I'm like, I want to kind of go to the point because a cornfield comes rolling down. There's high grass there. The water runs through, and you can just see that if there was no cows in it, but it's like, looks like it's ran through. So I'm like, I want to kind of be over there. So I picked that spot, and I had my self climber, and I go in and I'm looking at the trees, and there's good trees to climb.
Yeah.
But I started like looking at the canopy, and like as you go up, I like to be 20 feet up, and I'm looking at all these different spots, and I climbed this first tree, and I'm doing all the things that you probably shouldn't do at this point. So I climb this tree, I get 20 feet up, and I'm looking where I think the deer is going to come from if he comes into the woods, and I can't see shit over there. And I'm like, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have climbed this tree. So then I do the next worst thing sometimes, and because by the time I got set up, like it was getting later, and I know deer were going to be moving within probably the hour. And mind you, by this time there's no wind at all. So I'm thinking it's going to be a nice night. So I look to my right and I see another tree. It starts to hill up, and the tree's on it, but it's a nice straight tree. And I'm like, well, if I get in there, I could probably shoot out to the high grass if something comes through. Climb that one. I get up about 20 feet, start looking around. It's worse. I have no shooting lanes. And to boot, like I thought I was going to be up high enough, but it hills up just enough to where like even 20 feet up, like I'm eye level with anything coming through the top portion of that woods out of the cornfield. And I'm like, oh, that's a good spot to be in. Climb down that tree.
Oh my, you're struggling, dude.
Oh, it was a horrible, horrible day. I'm sweating now. Went 40 feet up and down.
You've climbed 2 trees at this point.
In a span of 20 minutes. And now I'm like not even being quiet anymore, like because you're lugging this thing. I'm not putting it back together just to take it right apart. So I'm carrying it in sections to different things, or carrying it straight out with both arms. So I look to my right, I see another tree on that hillside, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be able to shoot to the right because you're going to be facing their fields, not the other property owner. And I'm like, all right, I'll sacrifice because that's where I thought if the buck came, I thought it would come from there because it's the bedding area is over there. What I thought was the bedding area.
Right.
So I'm like, but I'll just do an observation set. I chalked it up. I'm like, I screwed this up. Like I'll just do this. So I climbed up that one. I got up. It's everything I thought it was going to be. I have in front of me, to the left of me, just over my shoulder, dead deer comes out, golden. Right of me where I think this darn thing's going to come out, I'm going to have to watch him walk. And it's going to, and I know that's where he's going to come from. And that's what I just kept telling myself. He's going to come from there. I should have went to the kid's spot because it's on the other side of the thicket, and it would have been perfect. So I'm sitting in it, and then the wind, slight little breeze. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever. It hits me in the face, goes towards the bedding area. And then all of a sudden it starts going a little more. And then all of a sudden the tree's swaying. And I'm like, what are we doing here? So I'm looking at my app and all this other stuff, and it's picking up 8, 10. And I'm texting my cousin while I'm doing this. I'm like, this was terrible. I just ruined this hunt and possibly the deer. It's not going to be here. It's going to scent me. It's going to be gone forever. And he sends me a screenshot of his wind map, and it was foreshadowing like coming up. He's like, if you can hold it for 30 minutes, he's like, it goes down drastically. It calms down right before it gets dark in that last hour. And I'm like, sure enough, like clockwork. But like while I was sitting there, and this is where I'm saying I'm like, I hunt hard, I hunt smart, but like this day I was like, had it.
Yeah.
I had to pee. Normally I would just pee in a bottle or something. Like if I really have to pee.
I just let it hang.
I let it go.
Okay.
I used to be that guy.
Yeah. And some people still get mad, but like I did stop using bottles for a while, but sometimes when I'm hunting an area where I know there's a giant, I kind of think like that. I'm like, can't leave any scent out there.
It all turns to ammonia. You're
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
Within like
Good.
15 minutes, there's no longer a human scent element. That's why I don't care. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So I look around, I stand up, I turn to the right, I start going to the bathroom, and I look out 30 yards, and 2 doe are facing me, eating that I didn't see when I was sitting down.
Those
scanning.
perverts.
So I'm just like, well, I really, really had to go, so I'm not stopping. And I'm like, how do they not? I'm 20-something feet up in the air, and that thing's hitting the leaves, and it's just like not a care in the world from these deer.
Yeah.
So I fix myself. I sit back down, and I'm watching these deer. They come in, and that little runoff from the fields, it bends in the middle, which is probably why it gets thick in the middle. Right on the bend, they both bed down. And as they're bedding down, a tractor starts up it would be to my left, way out in the distance. And you can hear it kind of going up into one of the fields. All of a sudden, not even like a minute later, this buck comes barreling into the woods and like stops out 40 yards in front of me. I have it on video. I started recording it. A smaller buck. I don't know if it got harvested this year, but it has great genetics.
Yeah.
You should see this deer. It's probably like a 2.5 year old deer, but it's like you could tell he's gonna be a stud.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm ranging him because I was contemplating it because I've had such a shitty hunt so far, and this guy's right out in front of me in the wide open woods and not looking my way. He gets out to 65, and I'm like thinking he's gonna leave. All of a sudden he turns. Another doe are watching him too. He drinks out of the stream, cuts across the stream, gets within 20 yards, 5 yards, out to 10 yards, back in the 5 yards, comes up on the hillside beside me. So now he's more almost close to eye level at like 10 yards. And I sent this video out to anybody who would watch. And my cousins and all them are like, dude, shoot it. What are you doing? And
he's daring you.
Yeah. But I'm like, if they stick around like that, it's not a deer. It's not a mature. Because he does look good to me because I'm not seeing anything. I mean, the 2 doe are bedded, but like I'm not seeing any horns. I was like, I'll let him walk. So I let him walk. All of a sudden, like, because at this farm, there's a dirt track. Like I said, the farmer rides. And he has told me that there is deer tracks all the time, and he's like, they must walk it, they come through or whatever. I'm not kidding. A group of doe came out into the high grass. The yearlings started running around the track, jumping off his jumps that he had made with his tractor.
That's awesome.
Like they were using the track.
Yeah, like they watched him
curious,
and
man.
they were doing what he did. That's kind of creepy, but
It
also
was-
really funny.
It was pretty epic. And
Yeah.
I told him that. I told him that he got a kick out of it. But then all of a sudden they come sprinting into the patch of woods I was in. Then here comes the big doe. They're all in. They're milling around and stuff. Well, when you get to that last hour, I use a summit when I self-climb. And in that last hour, I'll stand up. I'll put the seat up against the tree, and I'll just stand for that last hour. And I'm standing there, and they come right up to my... And I'm like, if you're ever good... Because I do try and do scent control. I spray myself or whatever, but I'm not to the extreme like I should be. Like I should... Like honestly should be. And I'm sitting there, and I'm just like like my bow's up on the hook right here, and I'm just like looking down at them, like out of the corner of my eye, and they're just chewing, looking at me, and I'm like, do they see me? Or like, they're just looking, not a care in the world. Mind you, their yearlings are running all over the place. So I'm like this, and I'm watching them in like both these big mature does heads just like snap to the right, like real hard. And I'm like, oh, what the hell are they looking at? So I'm like trying to look over it, but you know, you're doing that one like, oh, what are they doing?
Your eyes are straining. Like...
Yeah. I see just the left side beam, like the beam and the horns coming in. And I didn't really look at the rack like as it was coming in because I'm trying to like not get busted by the doe. But like I instantly in my head was like, that's him. That's him. So I start slowly panning to him. And now he is almost dead in front of me, 20 yards. Oh, man. Wide open, boy.
Your bow's still up on the holder.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes. So I'm like, and he's looking my direction, but you can kind of tell he's looking at the does.
Yeah.
So then he looks at the yearlings crossing the stream. And as he's doing that, I slowly get up, and I'm like, I'm trying to get the damn bow off that hook and all that stuff. Finally, it comes off. And I have an adjustable sight. So like I bring it down, and I know the tree that he's in front of is 20 yards because while you're sitting there, you range everything a million times, so I'm like adjusting it. And as I'm adjusting it, I start seeing movement, and I kind of look up. He's like walking diagonal to that first tree that I climbed, which has a stream right next to it. I'm like, oh shit, he's going to the field. Crank it to 30, lock it, get my release on it, pull back on him. And like as he's walking, he gets to that tree, and there's like a big triangle window that he's on the other side of it. And I was like, I wanted to say something like to get him to stop, like map or whatever, to try and get him to stop. But right before he goes down into the water, he stops briefly and just gave me an opportunity. He was actually only 27 yards at that time. I put it right behind the shoulder and let it go. And this year I didn't put Luminox on any of my arrows.
No.
It was just stupid. It was just I was going back and forth which Luminox I wanted to buy. Yeah. And I was wanting to go cheap, but then I'm like, well, why would I go cheap? And so, anyways, long story short, I don't have a damn Luminox on my arrow that I just sent at this just monster of a buck. And he reacts, jumps straight up, hauls off into the field, like jumps over this little broken fence, and he's in the high grass. And the high grass is literally right after the woods, the little patch of woods. So he had 10 yards, jumps a little thing, and then he's in the high brush. Immediately stops and like goes like hunches and just starts walking. And like that's when I get excited when I'm like, oh, I hit a lung. Because I'm like, he's like doesn't know what the hell happened, what hit him. But like him like going like buckling up a little bit, I every lung shot I've had where they walk off, that's kind of what happens. If they have no idea what hits them, you blow through the lungs. They're trying to get that breath. So he's walking. So I knew I hit him decent. And then he walks off, or I thought he walked off. But I think I saw him drop, but it's so high. Like I'm like, okay, maybe there's like a little. So then he's out of my sight. All the doe are gone because I shot. They heard that, and then they see him. So I call my wife.
You're losing your mind at this point,
dude. I'm like, as soon as you let the arrow fly, and you realize what you just did,
meltdown. Yeah.
I'm like, I have my phone in my hand, and I'm trying to like hit buttons, and I can't do it.
These buttons don't make sense.
And I'm so happy that it's not like the old cell phones where you have to dial the number, because I wouldn't be able to do it. Like at least I called my wife that day, so I could literally just hit call, and it was her.
You went old school.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But I did text my cousin Sam, who told me about the wind direction. Big shout out to him, because I might have done something stupid, like shot that other deer if we weren't communicating the whole time.
Or a fourth tree.
Exactly.
God, yeah, that
could have been tree. Yeah.
Fourth tree could have been in play at that point. Nobody knows.
Yeah. But I honestly didn't see where that buck came from.
Yeah.
He could have came exactly where I thought. Maybe he came from the other way. I because there's mature doe. I'll never know. Doesn't matter now.
Yeah.
But
I'm not going to his birthday party.
yeah, exactly. So I climbed down because my cousin's like, he's in the hot tub at his house. He's like, I'm getting dressed. I'm coming. I'm like, no, I just want to tell you that that's what I did. He's like, you shot the big one. I'm like, well, yeah, I think it's the big one. He's like, what do you mean you think it's the big one? I'm like, Sam, it's
a big one. It's a giant.
I just
happened
knew
fast.
it was
I blacked out.
Exactly. I said I knew it was legal, and I was like, no brainer that I wanted to shoot this deer. I said, I think it's the big one, and he's like, I'm coming. He's like, don't go over there. He's like, do whatever you got to do, but don't track the deer. Let it lay down. I'm like, I'm excited, but I this. I said, he's like, well, I can hear you shaking. I'm like, I'm good.
How confident though were you in the arrow shot, like the placement?
I with your brother Russ, I practice so much with him because we just go out and stuff like that. I was pretty confident I hit where I wanted to hit.
Yeah.
I was pretty and his reaction like kind of confirmed, but without that Luminoc in like a low light situation, I was like, no. I mean, there's branches. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
Like, so I was pretty darn confident I hit where I was aiming. But the thought does like,
oh, it creeps in.
I shot him in the knee.
The doubt creeps in quick.
Exactly, because Sam's like, because when it doesn't drop in front of you, and then somebody asks you, like my cousin asked me, he's like, well, was it a good shot? I'm like, I mean, I think so. I'm like, I don't know. So everything happened so fast, and then you start getting off in that everything happened so fast, all this stuff. So I go to my work car, I put my bow and all that stuff, take off all my gear that I don't need, and I put it in my bag, and I'm waiting. He must have did 80 the entire way to me because he lives in Shenango. He's coming out to Mohawk, and I got out of the tree, and it's probably maybe a 10-minute walk because I got to go around where the deer ran.
Yeah.
But it wasn't far. And as soon as I got there, he's calling me. He's like, where are you at in this area? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, so I start shining my light. He finds me, obviously. And then he's like, where'd you shoot? So I point to the woods, but then I'm like, he ran to the track. I said, so it's probably be easier to go around, and I'll show you where he popped out. Because I went over and marked blood because I wanted to try and find my arrow. I never did find my arrow. I didn't get a pass through.
Right.
I learned that obviously later.
Yeah.
But like I said, we'll go around the track. We'll go down. I said, I'll get us to where the blood comes out into the field. I didn't track it. I have to go past that to get out of the woods. So we're going over there and we're walking and we're bullshitting while we're walking and we're about the deer, obviously. And I'm like, I think I smoked it. And then he grabs me. He's like, stop. Because I'm just looking at where we need to get to. And he's like, look down. And I look down and it's just blood everywhere.
Huh.
Everywhere. And I mean, when I went over to check for blood, there was blood. There was a lot of blood too.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I'm like, we're going to recover this deer.
Yeah.
Because you got immediate blood and there's quite a bit of it. But once he got onto the field, he really opened up and there was blood everywhere. And it was pretty much a short track. I would say we did another 10 yards and we actually did lose blood for like, I would say 5 yards. I think he jumped over something to get to a new trail. And then when we went around this like briar patch, it was a very small briar patch, like he was laying in the high grass washout where water was just running. He was laying in the water and you just seen a little bit of his body, but you seen that right beam coming around. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, and it's like that moment, like when you run over and like, I knew he was dead, obviously, so I didn't do the poke thing, but like as soon as I grabbed those horns and ripped them out of the high grass, oh my God.
Unreal.
It was.
What have I done?
And I'm just like holding this deer and I'm looking up at my cousin. I'm like, look at this fucking thing. And then you're just and then you're like, it starts, the whole whirlwind of emotions start happening. You're like, I fucking did this with my bow.
Yeah.
I did all this work that you did pre-season, leading up to the seasons, and just coming all together at once. And And then my cousin was there with me to enjoy the moment, like, which I obviously would have needed. I told him if you don't want to come, you don't have to stay in the hot tub kind of conversation.
Yeah.
Dude, I needed help.
Yeah,
That deer was heavy as fuck. It was a big ass deer.
Yeah.
And then the horns, man, I just can't get over how the mass. He would have been 170s if he had that. If he had that one time, man, he had his 9-point mainframe 9-point. If he had that one, that G3 or G4 or whatever,
G4.
G4, he'd have just not taken anything away. I don't want to change it. Like, I'm not disappointed.
I mean, he's a 158 and an 1/8 inch, clean, typical buck.
Yes. And that's us, like, because we score, I had you score super strict, because I don't ever want, like, because I know people fab shit all the time.
We sure do know those people.
And I never want to be in that. I never want to be in that conversation. I don't care. Say what you want about a deer. Score whatever. I don't care. When somebody looks at that deer and I tell them it's a 158-inch deer, there is no argument. The argument that I get is like, there's no way it's 160s all day long, maybe 170s. So I get it the opposite way.
Right.
So I prefer that.
Yeah.
And if we score it like everybody else scores it, it might make 170, but definitely 165, 166, 100%. But it's officially 158.
And it could be bigger. Who knows? You know?
It could be. It's just,
I don't know.
It's just us
perfect.
in a garage.
We're in a garage.
Yeah.
We're measuring. We're
Drinking,
doing the best we can.
out.
Yeah. But I mean, we did it, everything official with the cable and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like,
I'm happy with it. I don't care what the score is.
It's an awesome buck regardless, man.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care what the score is.
No, that deer, like we said in the beginning, is the biggest looking 158-inch deer you'll ever see.
Oh, all day, dude.
That deer looks so much bigger score-wise because his mass is so impressive.
It is.
And the frame is so impressive. That deer is just enormous. The body on it was enormous.
Yes.
Enormous. He had it hanging in the freaking garage. I'm like, this thing is a cow. No wonder you shot it in a cow pasture. This is a cow.
Yeah. Oh
with
my
antlers.
Gosh. I can't even explain. Like, this is why, like, I wish I did film my hunts so people could see what I see. It's just too much work for me.
It is.
It's so much work.
It's a lot.
I tried to do the GoPro thing once,
Sucks.
and it was not happening. I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
But, like, watching that thing come in and then looking at it, and it did, like, that trail cam pic I showed you, that's what it did to me, but obviously hard-horned, and my gosh, my heart, I just felt it, but then you, like, try and compose yourself. You got to compose yourself.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
But it was quite a hunt. And I thought it wasn't like when people tell their story or post their stories and stuff, and like, I'm like, I don't have great hunting stories and all this stuff. It's just usually like, this is a good story.
This is a pretty good story,
yeah,
buddy.
I'm like, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, there's a lot that happened.
Yeah.
And shout out to farmers.
Yes.
And if you don't talk to if you hunt a farm and you don't talk to the farmer, you're doing a disservice to yourself.
Yeah.
They're the ultimate cheat code. I would have never hunted that spot. And shout out to the good ass farmers who kick people who they give permission off when they see your deer. I'm like, that's incredible.
That's next level farmer.
Oh man.
But I did tell him, because he started rethinking things. Like, I'm like, Patrick, just know this, that deer was not, when he calls you and says the deer's in front of me 40 yards, I don't have a shot, and then you tell him not to shoot it.
Tell him to shoot it.
Well, yeah, I told him. I said, tell him to shoot it. I did 100% say that. I said that multiple times to him. I said, don't do that to somebody.
Yeah.
But I was like adamant. I'm like, that deer's not in front of him. Because when I see a world-class deer or a big mature deer, the last thing I'm doing, even if I don't have a shot, I'm not calling the property owner to tell him the deer exists.
Couldn't even imagine picking up the phone and making a phone call with that deer within 40 yards. He might have seen the other deer, the one you saw prior.
It could have. It definitely could have. And also, I'm thinking what happened was, like, I'm saying he's a good ethical hunter. He doesn't have a shot, so he didn't pull, like, a crazy shot, which a lot of people would.
Not just trying to squeeze one in there somewhere.
And then you get that bad gut shot or shoot it in the ass and never see it again kind of thing. But, like, maybe that did happen. But the deer walked off. It's not anywhere. He doesn't see it anymore. He's not calling you.
Yeah.
Because at 40 yards, that deer could easily make a right, a left.
Yeah. You would have heard the phone conversation at 40 yards for one. 40
So,
yards
yeah.
not far.
Yeah.
Yeah, that deer would have been, he might have had it at 40
Yeah.
and then didn't get a shot. The deer left, like you said. Then he picked up the phone.
That's what I think.
In case it came back.
Yeah.
You know.
But I did nail that home. I'm like, dude, I'm glad you let me hunt, kind of like the sole guy that hunts the property. But like when you let someone else hunt, like, dude, if they have something like that, please don't do that. I'm happy. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's their property.
Oh,
like,
Yeah.
if they want to save their nicer bucks for me, I'm not going to say no to that. But
Right.
I know it's from a hunting aspect. Like, let's say that was you. How would you feel? Or you, Austin?
It would be
I'm
very, yeah.
like, ugh.
It'd be like,
I got to be honest though, if I was that guy and I got permission on that place and I had the shot, I probably wouldn't call him and ask.
Well,
and
here's
That's
the
what I
thing.
mean. It's
But
bad.
if
It's
I
easier
had-
to ask.
But if
Yeah,
you had
forget it.
permission on a
Yeah.
property to shoot doe only,
that's true too. Yeah,
I wouldn't have shot that buck
Yeah.
because I have permission to shoot doe on your property.
that's true.
I'm going to take it very serious. I'm going to see the world-class buck go, oh my God, I just saw the biggest buck of my life on this property.
Yeah.
You know, and then maybe try to convince them after the fact, like, hey,
Your
you know,
foot's in the door.
yeah, like, hey, next time if I see him again, would you care if I shot him?
Yeah.
Only, but no other bucks. You know, and if he told me no, okay, whatever, fine.
Doe
I'm
only.
here to shoot
Yep.
does. Like,
Well,
that's what you want.
He's explaining the situation to me, and afterwards he's like, yeah, he said he's never going to ride with me and all this. He's not talking to me. And then I seen him later in the season. He's like, yeah, he's kind of squashed it. He's okay. He's cool. He's like, but he's never going to hunt. And I'm like, well, then shame on him.
Yeah.
At the end of
Yeah.
the day, I'm starting to like, now I'm like, you know what? I felt bad
Mm-hmm.
because I know as a hunter, like if I have something like that in front of me and I'm told no, and you gave me permission, I'm like, I'm super bummed about that. But at the end of the day, that's your property. You
Yeah.
do what you want.
It's
Right.
your wishes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get mad because you tell me what to do with your property and your deer on your property.
And I even told him because I have 2 stands in 2 really good spots on that property because there's not a lot of huntable woods on that property.
Mhm.
And I'm like, hey, there's still a lot of season left. I sent him the video. I'm like, here's this immature but really nice buck. Like, and there actually is. I'll show you the picture. There's another stud. You could tell he's going to be just like the one I got this year, probably next year.
Yeah.
He's really nice.
I know where you're next.
Yeah,
year.
Well,
Why
the problem.
not?
Well, the problem is another problem I'm running into is there's word of mouth. Like there's people hunting the neighboring properties trying to pinch in.
You got to be
and-
careful about that stuff.
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, because you
Be
know
really
how
careful.
I'm like usually not very secret. I'm like
You
if
should be
If
more
the
secretive.
problem is,
Yeah,
it's only a
I
matter
should
of
be.
time until that bites you in the ass.
Yeah.
and
I've
it,
seen it.
yes, and I know it's going to because my one spot on that farm, I just hunted it late season, and I brought my brother. I asked if he could because he was going to shoot a doe. And I put him out where I seen all the doe, and I'm sitting up in my tree stand, and I look to my right, and I see sticks going up a tree. I'm like, son of a... Now, I hunt on the edge of this, in that particular spot, it's on the edge of their property. I'm like, son of a... Like, somebody snuck on, because I know nobody's allowed to hunt that property.
Yeah.
Somebody snuck on it and put lock on, and I'm like, dang, it's happening to me.
Yeah.
The
You
things that everybody talks about, it's
Oh,
finally
yeah.
happening to
You
me.
got to go over to that stand and just put a note on it, like a
Yeah.
post-it note
You
or
shouldn't
something
be
on
here.
it. Yeah, like take your stand or take it down, and just
Mhm.
leave it at the base of the tree with a post-it note. They'll get the hint.
Yeah.
But I just take, you guys know this. I usually take things in stride. If something were to happen in the spot, and there was, after I shot that buck last year, that 24-inch spread buck, the farmer, like the actual owner of the property, because he came down to see it too. And Dave's a good dude. And he's talking to me and he's like, hey, I got potential bad news. And I'm like, okay. And we get this deer out and he talks and he sighs. The guy who owns the property next to us doesn't want this particular patch of wood and he wants to buy it off me. He's still going to lease it, but he wants absolutely. And he's looking at me like he's depressed. And I guess he wants to pay him a ridiculous amount for this piece of property, like something that's not even worth. And I said, Dave, listen, I 100%, because last year up until this point, that was the biggest buck I had ever shot was last year. I looked at him and I was like, Dave, listen, I'm blessed. You let me hunt your property. I'm blessed that you let solely me hunt your property. But you got to do what's best for you and your family. And I mean,
sure.
like, I'll find a spot. I'm okay. I'll find woods and I'll hunt. Over the summer, Lawrence County Fair is running, yelling my name. I'm working it because something with Hickory, they couldn't do it. So they wanted a bunch of detectives to do it, plain clothes, things like that. So I was there and he saw me, and I actually wasn't in plain clothes. I had a vest on and everything. He's screaming at me, like running. And I'm like, I turn around, I'm like, hey, and I'm talking to him and stuff like that. And he's like, guess what? I've been wanting to talk to you. And I'm like, oh, what did I do? He's like, I sold a piece of property. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'll take what I have out of there. It's fine. He's like, my property whenever you want. I'm like, you didn't have to do that. He's like, nah, I got about the same for this other piece, but you can keep on it. Man, I gave him a hug. I'm like, dude, you're too much.
That's crazy.
He's just a good.
You got some good landowners, man.
Dude, they are. I've gotten lucky with people I've came in contact with, and I don't know. I'm super nice and stuff as is, and I always want to be that way. I never want to be. I never want to be a problem to anybody, and I try not to be. But like, I don't know. I cherish friends a lot. Like you guys call me, it doesn't matter. I'll do anything. Like the gun, take whatever. I don't care when I get it back. Like, yeah, I don't know. And that's just hunting spots. Like I'll give you my hunting spot just because I know deer come through, kind of thing. I'll push all day for you. That's just how I am and how I want to be. Because I feel like you get rewarded, and this is that point. Like 2 years in a row, I thought last year's buck couldn't get. You can't get better than that. If I went up to Kennerdale and shot that ghost buck, that's better than that. But this is close.
Kennerdale, Ohio.
This buck I shot this year was, my goodness. It doesn't get better than that.
That's awesome, dude. I remember seeing that picture come across my phone, and I was like, "Oh my good googly me, dude!" Like it. I know I had been talking to you in the summer, and you showed me a couple pictures, and that was a totally different buck, and I was like, "Dude, that is a freaking giant."
It looks fake. It's so
giant,
so massive.
It's so big.
It's such a nice deer.
And the best part about it, what I like about. Because I would love to get a really gnarly, non-typical or something like that because it's just cool to look at. There's something to be said about a mainframe buck that just doesn't suffer. When you get up that inches on a main frame, like just
158 inch clean, typical 9-point is a very big deer.
It doesn't happen.
That's a very big deer.
Yes.
You see a lot of deer that are smaller frame, smaller antlers, everything, like smaller everything, and they score better because they got
a bunch of
a
shit
6
going
inch
all over
they
the
got
place.
6 inch point here and a 4 inch point there, and they got like 18 scoreable points, and it's this little deer, but they score 170 inches because they got 30 extra inches basically. I mean, for a perfect example, look at John's buck this year, scored 136 inches. It was a main frame looking 120, 125 inch deer. And we all said that.
Yep.
But I kept telling him, like, this deer's going to be bigger.
Yeah.
That thing was heavy too.
Yeah.
It was heavy.
But he had a lot of extra points.
Mm-hmm.
He had extras. And I think he had something like that, maybe 16 inches of extra, something along those lines. It's like, well, there you go. You got a 120 to 125 inch deer with X amount of extra points. Now you have a 136 inch deer in front of you.
Exactly.
That's just how it works, man.
Yeah. And then you got to look at the other thing. There's like a bunch of, because when you score, this is why like the scoring thing is, I like doing it just because it's cool to, but like think about it. How many times have you seen somebody who shot a skinny rack buck that was 20 inches wide, had 8-inch tines, scored 150s, 160? So that buck's scoring pretty much the same as my buck, but you put those two racks side by side, it's no
yours
comparison.
Eats it up.
Yeah. So I don't know. The scoring system, there's a flaw to it.
Sure.
But it's nice to do. It's fun. It has its place.
Yes.
But I don't know. When you look at a deer and you're like, wow, that's a fucking deer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I look at. Yeah. That's how I score a deer. Like if I can look at it, I'm like, wow, that's like that Marty Andrews buck. I'm pretty sure that's his name. Like that North Beaver or Mount Jackson buck. Gosh,
you know what? Screw that guy.
I know that's a touchy subject, but
screw that guy.
There's special deer out there.
Oh, yeah.
And you
Oh,
know
yeah.
when you see them.
Antler restrictions are paying off, dude.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
When you look at the deer, like you said, it's got that wow factor, that take your breath away factor.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's your buck. That's that other buck. Like there's a few out there that do that. And then there's a lot of other guys that shoot really great bucks. I'm not taking anything against them, but like you said, the scoring system is flawed to an extent.
It is.
It is.
It really is. And it's not meant. What's crazy, and I've heard actually some really good podcasts on it recently from different podcasts I listened to, but they were talking, and the one's of official scorer, as you know who I'm talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
And he even says, like, there needs to be a change to it.
Mm-hmm.
There really does. Who gives a shit about a green score, wait in a drying period, all of that stuff? And then on the Pope and Young, I was just complaining about it, I think, before we recorded, like, the Pope and Young sheet doesn't even give you a gross score on it anywhere.
Yeah.
The only thing it calculates is a net score. So it's like, that is the most ridiculously stupid thing. Like he said, it needs to have 3 columns. It should be, total inches. Well, I can't remember how. Yeah, like total score, net score, gross score. Because total score is without the spread, I think. And then you would have your net with the deductions and then gross. So it shows you what that deer truly is. Like here's the net score that would be for the book, whatever. But then here's the gross score. This is what your deer really is. This is the inches on his head.
Yes.
And then the other guy had a great suggestion. Like, look, you're trying to put every deer into this perfect pedestal of a typical. Like your buck, net, take that whole G4 on the one side and cut it off.
Well, that I was going to
Doesn't count.
Yes, I was going to get to that.
Because it's a 9 point.
Why do you penalize something so beautiful?
You
'Cause
penalize
so
for the other side.
spectacular. Yeah, exactly. Because you want a symmetrical, typical deer. No, that buck is that way, and that's incredible. But you're going to penalize you could end up with like 30 if it's a world class 200 something inch non-typical or typical buck or whatever. You can end up with 30 inches of deductions,
100%,
or something like that. I'm like, come on.
John's deer was 136 inches. His typical score was 105.
Yes. Yeah.
His net score was 105. That's 21 inches of deductions.
Nets are for fishes.
Right. So, but I like the other idea the guy came up with. Why don't you have the book as a category? Why don't you base it off of non-typical deer and then have a different subcategory for your freak typicals?
Perfect.
Right. Like if the deer has X amount of deductions or less, they go into the typical.
Yeah.
But if it has more than X amount of deductions, say it's 8 inches, 10 inches, whatever you decide, then it goes into the regular category of everyone else's. Is maybe it's not a non-typical, but it's your normal standard bucket. Because I didn't realize to be non-typical, you have to have over 15 inches of extra points. I did not realize that's how that worked. So like if you don't have 15 inches of extras, which is your kickers, your stickers, your drop tines, that kind of stuff.
Know that.
Yeah, then it's technically a typical, and that means everything that's extra or not perfect symmetrical is a deduction.
Yep.
That's just
so John's had.
That's why net score is just such bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah,
is.
because now I'm thinking about John's had 11 inches of extras, so it's still a typical deer. Doesn't count plus the other deductions. Yeah, he was a 105. Dude,
it's not a 105-inch deer.
It's not a 105-inch deer.
Yeah.
You look at that deer, it's not a 105-inch deer. It's stupid.
And it's just you can't. It's never going to change.
No, and this is why a lot of people don't
This
enter
is
their,
how it's
their
always
bugs.
been.
Yeah.
This is what it is. And somebody smarter than us thinks
Yeah.
that this is the way it should be.
Yeah. And I agree with the other point they made was unless the deer is pushing world record status, because all the other deer that are currently in it that have that record status, they went through these same protocols and the same measuring points as yours. If your deer is pushing that record status, you should go through the same protocols as the other deer prior to in the book. Everyone else, every other 140 to or 125 to 100 and whatever inch deer should just get entered as they are. Why are we playing games with that?
I I think people who shot other deer and got that stricter thing, they'd be all over the place. Like the ones that are still alive and the ones still doing it, they'd be like, oh, how is this buck? Oh, your buck's a 180 something. Yeah, but that's not the deductions.
But it's not hard to go back to that same score sheet and add another column for gross score.
That's true.
You know what it is. It's all on the paper.
Yep.
It's not like you're missing anything. Go back to every single deer and add a column and put gross score there.
I just never found any sense in penalizing a deer for just
For
turning
inches
into
of
something.
antler.
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry. Like, can you imagine if deer knew that we were doing this? They're just looking at the water,
the
looking
hell?
at the beer like,
You don't like this point? I'll break it off next year in a fight. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
typical 8 walking through sees a non-typical buck. You freak.
Loser.
Loser.
Yeah.
what's wrong with
You
you?
might have bigger horns, but I'd score better.
Hey, I shot a half rack this year. That other side must have been massive. He didn't like it.
Yeah, he
got
got rid of it.
Exactly.
It
Those
didn't
are
match
wrong.
up right. He's just like, I'm going to break this
I'm
side
breaking it
off.
off.
Screw this hunter. No, that's why Buckmasters gets, I think, more attention anymore
They
because
do.
they do full gross score
And they do green score.
and green score.
Yep.
They
no,
measure
no
it.
drying period.
Yeah.
No drying period. This is what your deer has inches on its head. This is what you're going in as.
Yeah. More practical.
It's
I
way
heard
more
the
practical.
drying
Yeah.
period, you can get like,
You
can lose
Oh, yeah.
quite a bit in the
Oh,
drying
yeah.
period.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's why you dry it in a bucket of water.
Can't get dry in there.
Oh, I'm
That's
kidding.
Yeah, guys will put like
do that.
dowel rods between their antlers and shit so they don't
yeah.
like they don't shrink and stuff. It's so weird. But
Crazy.
there I don't know. There's a lot to be learned. Neither here nor there. At the end of the day, you shot your own big buck, buddy.
I did. It was
Plenty
good.
of them. Yeah, an
was
absolute
exciting.
gooner. So
You
now
know
you
what?
gotta wait for it to come back. Do you have your antler? Do you have your actual antlers, or did you leave them with the taxidermist?
It's
Old
there.
Gen Z boy.
Yeah, Gen Z has
I
them.
wasn't sure if you went to Jen's or if you brought it to the other.
Uh,
I'm
are you
glad you
talking
brought it
about-
to Jen's.
Are you talking
Ron.
about the? I used to take it to a guy named Ray Fellows. I don't know if he still does it anymore. Or Ron Belinsky. I
Ron
was going to do
Belinsky, that's
Ron
the name.
Belinsky, but I mean, we're all friends with Nels.
Yeah, no.
Jens
Jen's is a good dude.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. Does
fan
great
of the
work.
podcast too.
Yeah.
So shout out to Jen's.
Yeah.
Does great work, by the way.
Visions
Yeah.
of Nature taxidermy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he
need
does
to-
good work.
I need to bring him my rack. See if he's got some big deer out there I want to look at.
You know what I get now after people in the buck I shot this year? In all honesty, they ask if that was the biggest buck I ever shot. I don't know how do you. I want to ask you guys this. How do you think I should answer? And it's not like the buck I shot last year, 24 inches inside spread,
Big deer.
It was very
thick
impressive.
mass the whole way up. It's just
But he
like,
didn't have
Which
the
one do
height.
you feel is
No
your bigger
height.
deer?
well, I know the one last year weighed more.
Really?
Yeah, he
You can
not
be like
by
up
much,
in Maine.
Yeah.
not by much, but like I would say probably 5 to 10 pounds heavier. The
I
one
mean,
last year definitely.
The fact that you know the score of both deer, technically, yes, this one's bigger. I guess the point you have to find out is whenever you get them both taxidermy, they sit side by side, which one looks bigger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's like I'm thinking to myself, I'm like,
I think the one you shot this year.
I do too.
that's kind of where I'm going because he has it all.
Yeah.
I would
just
say so.
I could
I
probably
know
count
that one. The
on
one
one
you
hand
shot-
how many times I've seen in person somebody with a deer over like 20 something inch spread, let alone 24. Like that's
Incredible.
it doesn't happen.
And that's a true spread, too.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
not people doing diagonal shit
Yeah.
Yeah.
inside the rack. Like, that was legitimately 24 inches across, which unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely two good seasons. I'm in agreement. I think this one this year is my biggest buck, but it's hard. It's like shades of gray. Like the other one doesn't have the time length, but it definitely had serious mass going
Super
out,
mass.
and the spread is crazy. But
They're both very impressive
this one,
deer.
this year is definitely
Yeah. That's what I would go with.
definitely the buck.
I'd be like, oh yeah. What do you see next year?
That's what I would say, too. I was just going to say that. Wait till you see the one I shoot next year.
Well, I said that to the farmer.
Yeah.
Because when I shot the 24-inch spread buck, man, and I'm telling him thank you. I'm like, this is the biggest buck I've ever shot. And then it said the same thing this year. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Uh-huh.
He's like, you said that last year. I said,
Yeah.
and I hope I say it next year.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's-
Every time you hear me say this, we're going to become that much closer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah. My goodness. And then Val shot a big one this year.
Yeah, she did.
She in the backyard.
Hey.
Is that where it was?
That's
I
where
didn't
it
know
was.
that, dude.
Yep.
I kind of figured that,
Yeah.
but I didn't.
She hunted it pretty good in
know.
archery. It never came
Because
out.
you had a couple nice.
Yeah. But
There's always been nice ones back there.
that's a good little area. And surrounding us, like nobody's allowed to hunt those properties, so they like flood past us. We're the only ones that hunt that property.
Yeah.
Well, my neighbor in between me and your brother, he lets some old guy, I guess, hunt his property, but he doesn't really do it. But like, man, Val, that buck taunted Val. It really did. She was working and she looks out her office window. She works from home, and this buck is coming across the front driveway and stops and just stares at. She records.
He deserved everything he got.
She told me, she said, she's like, it's limping. So she sent me the video, and I'm like, okay, it was a weird rut, a non-existent rut really this year. Can we agree on that? It's not really.
I don't agree
I didn't
at
have
all.
I didn't have a buck tag, so
I had a crazy
I had
rut.
one really
You did?
really crazy
Insane, dude.
I had one crazy day, and I will say that most of the like weird rut chasing and stuff all happened in mid-October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like a week and a half
Mm-hmm.
in that cold front in mid-October when I shot mine, and even maybe before and right after that. Dude, I had deer all over camera, deer chasing. I was watching deer physically chasing does, and I'm like, obviously it's not the rut, but they're acting like it. They were starting early to act like that. But I don't know, because I wasn't hunting the rut, for bucks.
I was just, like,
I know a
for
lot
me,
of people that are saying the same thing as you.
I was
but-
going to say, for me, my experience this year is like, I was not, because I kept hunting really, really hard even after I shot that buck, because I wanted to mow down all the doe tags and stuff and help the farmer out.
Absolutely.
And I didn't see it and I mean, it was weirdly warm the longest time. We didn't really get the cold fronts that we did get them.
October was.
Yes, we did get them, but then it got warm again. It went back up to 70 something degrees.
It was literally just like warm, cold front.
Yes.
Warm, cold front. And
Such
it
a
made
weird
for awesome hunting during those little cold front stretches.
Oh yeah, I planned
Holy
my hunting
shit.
around those cold fronts.
Yeah.
the quick little one.
Because that's, I mean, I pretty much, on the 19th, I shot my 4th deer with my bow. And at that point, I didn't hunt much after that. I went out, like, when our buddy from Florida came up, I went to the camp with him. And it was like the first week of November. And I had 2 stud bucks within 10 yards cruising through the slash. I was sitting on the ground and like literally walked right up to me. So, and I had a deer almost step on my foot. So like that part of it, but I didn't get any of the hardcore chasing. And I did.
See that.
That's not true. I had one really goofy rack buck come out at night chasing the shit out of this doe through the swamp and stuff behind me. And then they walked out in front of me. But that was it.
The most I saw this year, I saw a buck, a young 8-point following, like really, really following, and I'm like, okay, it's coming.
Yeah.
And I just it never material, at least the spots that I was hunting at.
I had a lot of, I will say I had a lot of trail cam show bucks chasing. Picture of a doe, picture of a buck, upper ass. Like I did have a lot of that going on, but it was fairly well spread out.
Okay.
So it was like hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold kind of thing. So I think they were kind of like, I feel like you just had a smaller window of catching them as they were kind of before they were locking down with these. At least that's what I experienced.
Okay.
But I wasn't in the woods, so it's hard to, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
That's what, when the buck story with Val, like she showed me the video, it was limping. And that's what it was that week prior to rifle. And she hadn't seen it all. It was in my backyard, all archery.
Yeah.
I have them, my cameras are level, like backyard 1. It was on backyard 3 the whole time. And that's like just where you don't want to walk that because you're going through the heart of the woods and there's a lot of deer that were in there this year. So she stayed up near the front, near camera 1. But she showed me this, the deer was limping and I'm like, it's probably right through or kicked something or done. Well, when she got the buck, that buck broke its leg. Probably thought it was a sanctuary back there and it was just no pressure, no nothing like that. I thought wrong, but it was like Val got it. Man, did she get it? But yeah, no, it was a good season for everybody. Was getting buck this year.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it was a good year. Definitely a lot of good deer too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I said it was funny because it was like maybe it's going to be every 7 years. I don't know. But I remember when 2017, how many good bucks were killed that year.
Yeah.
Like I killed my biggest buck that year. I know guys that killed absolute studs that year. And it's like you go through these spells of when these deer cycle through and get really big. Mm-hmm. And it was just funny to see that kind of transition again. I'm like, man, I don't know. But we'll see, because every year it seemed to get
some
better.
Good ones made
better and better. But it felt like that kind of last year felt like, dude, there were some really good deer last year. And then this year I'm like, dude, even bigger deer are getting killed.
Yeah.
So
are you guys seeing hunter wise? Like, because I always kind of said, I'm like, because I haven't seen as much, I compare it in rifle, because archery, it's sometimes you'll see a truck backed into a field and you're like, oh, there's a guy hunting.
Yeah.
But like rifle season, I don't see as much orange as years prior. Now, it could just be this area and where I'm particularly.
I saw quite a bit this year.
Okay.
I think I said that.
I saw a lot more archery hunters this year where I've been hunting.
Really?
Where I usually don't see archery hunters. A lot more this year.
I can't say that I've seen more rifle hunters this year, but I think we were also, the 130-something shot at 7 a.m., something like that.
What's that?
Yeah, up the camp. When I was with my cousin and he shot his deer, I think we were I was counting shots that morning, and I think he was like the 130th shot, 135th shot, something like that, of the morning, and it might have been like 8 a.m. or something.
Dude,
ridiculously early.
18 all day, I think, a day or something.
Yeah,
like
and there was plenty more after that.
Wow.
Up camp. Now,
Hopefully,
I bet you I heard over 200 shots on a lot of those were group shots, so like you could tell the same person
they were missing
4 or 5 shots.
That poor yearling, man.
Yeah,
I'm
like these. I kept saying, like, dude, if the deer ever makes it to us, it's gonna be fucking Swiss cheese by the time it gets to us. Like, there's so many shots, just pow, 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 pow. But I don't know. There was a lot of Amish up there this year as well.
That makes a big difference too.
It does. But I didn't really visually too terribly, I don't think. I mean, there's obviously people there if there's that many shots of people hunting. But this year I don't know. I didn't run into a ton of people. I would say on camera we had some people coming in right around the late October time frame. It was right when you start getting really good bucks in daylight, then people start showing up.
Yeah.
And you don't get any more deer.
Yep.
Especially in daylight. So but I don't know, man.
Nothing's worse than doing all your scout, doing everything the right way, and you have this deer on your camera, and like your phone goes off, you feel it, or like because I have an Apple Watch, like I feel the vibrate when I get a trail cam pic, and it's just some guy just walking through the woods, and you're like, man, there goes that spot.
Yeah,
and you just think that. I don't know if that's like I still hunt the spot and get the deer sometimes, but
yeah. I know the private piece this year and during rifle, there was like 2 or 3 guys that they'd show up on camera. And I'm like, please don't shoot one of the bucks. Please shoot one of the bucks. It's like, in my opinion, I put way too much work in for your ass to come up here one day a year in your freaking pumpkin orange with your gun and shoot one of them beautiful deer. It's great. It would be a great story for him, whatever. One particular person, I don't care if he fell off a cliff the next day, but because he destroyed my trail camera, still got to go talk to,
out of control.
Yeah, but otherwise they didn't get him because
you guys always have good buck on camera.
Man.
Always
try.
Such a good area.
I got more cameras, so I can get more now.
I find every year I end up getting 3 to 5 new cameras.
Yeah.
And then up in Kennerdale, if counting the mountains, the bears usually find at least 3. You buy 3 to replace 3, and this year I'll buy 2 extra, so I have more cameras. So sometimes it balloons up to 5.
I don't know.
Who's counting?
Nah. As long as my wife keeps, sometimes people say they hide this stuff. I don't hide it, my wife, but like if she did have an issue, I would definitely hide it because like it's just, I could be addicted to heroin.
Yeah, could be a lot worse.
Pick the trail camera or heroin. I'm doing one of the two, so just pick one, Val. Like,
yeah. Which one's worse?
Yeah.
Some would say trail camera.
That
addiction's pretty strong.
Yeah, the hunting thing is pretty addicting. It's very, very addicting.
It is up there. I know. I'm on my phone a lot looking at deer pictures.
Well, that's what even right still doing.
My bad.
I'm still doing the thing.
Me too.
Still looking at it. Still telling
I like to see
people like your brother, hey, I still have a nice buck coming through. We're not hunting. you should.
Yeah.
Plenty of
There's
late season.
There's he's going to find a home back there, and he's going to be there next year.
Right.
But your brother doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't want to. So it's on him.
It is on him. Yeah. At this point too, like you have one on camera. This is a really good time to kill them.
Oh yeah.
It's freezing cold. These deer are going to get to a habitual pattern. They're going to be going bed to feed, short patterns. It is a good time to kill a deer. It opened up my eyes that deer showed back up this week, and I'm like, all right. So now I know if for some chance I don't next year during archery season and gun season, late season ain't that bad. Gives me a chance.
Just cold.
Just cold. It's
just
tough.
cold.
It'd be tough. It's 17 degrees. It's gonna be 6 tonight. It's brutal.
One of our, I'll say it after this, but like told me once, like, because like I said, some people I know since September. It's the same people who are also saying like, I don't hunt the first week of archery. It's 80 degrees. And I literally get I don't get worked up, but I
don't look at me.
I literally look at him. I'm like, if you're hunting whitetail, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, there's 3 times in a year that first week when there's no human pressure, no human scent, you have a chance to get that buck on its natural routine, its feeding cycle. Because when you put those cameras out, you're getting them at noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. They're just patterned. They're just normal walking around. Peak rut, late season.
Yeah.
Late season, when it's bitter cold like it is right now.
Yeah,
just like you said,
you got the property where they're there.
Source.
Yep,
it's over.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Austin's picking on me because my camera ran. I didn't up my plan, and I didn't have any pictures for the first week of the season. And when I finally pulled my camera after the fact, it was like mid-season. I went in there and pulled my card and switched it out. It was 90 degrees.
Daylighting.
Yeah.
Like day after day after day.
It was like 95 degrees that week. I had to cut grass, so I decided I would cut grass that week because it was so hot out.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, dude, like 2 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon, these bucks are all over camera. That's broad daylight. Are you kidding me?
Literally looking and think you figured out whitetail. But at the end of the day, when they want to get their ass up out of that bed and go eat,
they're going to.
Or go find some water, or go stretch their legs, maybe take a mile walk. They're going to do it.
Yeah,
they are.
They're just living out there.
I was like, last year when I shot that buck, I was up in my stand. First of all, it was a very uncomfortable stand, and I'll never hunt in that lock on that I put up there again. I was getting out because I was convinced there was not going to be a deer. It was 8 in the morning, and it was already 70-something degrees. I was sweating, and I just had a long-sleeve tee. I stood up, stretched, grabbed my bow off of the hook. 3 buck ran out into the field, put the bow back on, sat back down. They ran behind me about, I don't know, I could just hear them running. And then here comes that 24-inch buck, just comes within 30 yards, and I double lung it, it runs off.
Crazy. It could happen just like that, man.
And who knows what the temperature was when I actually let the arrow fly, because it was minutes later. It was probably 80 degrees when I shot the darn thing. Yeah. It was hot in that morning.
Crazy. All right, listen. We said we weren't going to do this.
I know. I told you I'm a talker.
And now it's almost midnight, and you have to get up in 4 hours. So, and your blood pressure's up now from talking about deer hunting. So,
it is what it is.
We should probably wrap this one up, huh?
I appreciate being on here. I didn't think I was going to be this much of a talker.
You're welcome to come back, buddy.
I know. And I absolutely and I was telling Charles this, and I was like, I'm going to be like Ricky Bobby in his interview. I'm like, I'm not going to do with my hands.
Yeah, you were doing good with your hands.
I know. I hit this a couple times, so you're going to have to take those out if you air it.
You're all good.
It's all right.
You're all good.
And because of you before the thing, I was watching my breathing the whole time too. I just want to let you know. So if you hear the breathing,
I gotta get a pop filter for that.
Yeah, these things
they do.
I mean, job. You can get right up in these when they're on here. When they're not, it's a little rough.
That's why I'm trying to just stay.
You're good, brother.
I know.
You're more than okay.
You're natural.
I tried telling him, dude, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
We just relax. We talk. We tell deer stories. We do what we do. It's been 2 hours. We've been talking for 2 hours.
I know.
Flew by.
That.
I knew it was going to be relaxed. I just never done it before, never talked into realistically a mic before.
You've told deer stories before. We're just recording it.
That's exactly. And that's what makes it easy, because it's just something that we
boys being boys.
Yep,
boys being boys.
All right. Let's wrap this thing up.
Till next week.
The distraction is real.